Good morning. What wonderful weather we're having right now. I figured, you know what, we need to come outside, get some fresh air, enjoy a wonderful cup of coffee, and let's have a little chat about copyrights. That's what everybody wants to be doing, you know, on a beautiful morning like this, is like having a conversation about copyright strikes. Copyright issues can be very confusing, they can be very convoluted, and it can be difficult to understand what the expectations are for you in the event you want to use somebody else's work in your videos. If you are in need of some higher level copyright information, people that I go to whenever I need assistance, I'll have all of that for you at the end of this video, links in the description, and all of that fun stuff for you. For right now, let's enjoy our cup of coffee, some nice weather, and have a little chat about all of this copyright fun fest stuff. First and foremost, the broad strokes. What is the deal with copyright in general? The copyright protection system, content ID system for YouTube is a good thing. It's there to protect you. You are a small creator. You do not have the means of going and putting copyright protections on your work so that other people can't use your work without paying you for it. YouTube has gone and created the content ID system in order to give you those protections. While everybody gets all mad about copyrights, you have to understand that the entire purpose of that is to protect you and your work and to make it as easy as possible to prevent people from stealing your work. Do they get it right? No, not 100% of the time. They get it wrong sometimes. But the purpose and the intention of the content ID system and for the copyright protection stuff that are out there, the idea is sound. Now, I keep throwing out these terms like copyright and content ID. First thing you need to understand is that when you create something, when you so much as take your cell phone and you take a video of something, that is classified as a work of art that you have created, and the rights to that work of art belong to you. If somebody goes out and records something, you have to get their permission in order to use it. You have to have their permission in order to make money from it. So if you're taking somebody else's work, there are laws in place to protect the creator legally so that they are paid for the work that they do, for the art that is theirs. For the record, and this is part of the conversation, that is all legal government stuff and not YouTube. Because YouTube offers a platform where people can put their art and their creations on their platform, they have some liability. They are legally required to make sure that they are not a hub for theft. They don't want to create a website that allows you to go and store your art on their website and just let anybody take whatever they want off of there. Why would you want to post on that site? There are laws in place that they are required to follow. There are laws in place to prevent people from stealing your content, and YouTube has to follow those laws just like everybody else, and they have to try to prevent people from being able to do that. In order to do that, YouTube created the Content ID system. The way that works, whenever you upload a video, they take a look at the audio levels for that video, and they see if that matches the code for the audio levels in other videos that are already on YouTube. If somebody else has already created a file that matches those levels, that person is automatically awarded the license as the creator of that sound. Even if it doesn't actually belong to them, they still get the content ID for that specific match. Video and photos is kind of a similar thing. Instead of looking at audio levels, what they're looking at is a selection of pixels across the screen to see if the pixels that they're looking at match that pixel count for any other video on the platform. Kind of like a thumbprint for videos and photographs. So now that we know what the Content ID system is and how that works and how copyright works, there is one other thing that we need to discuss regarding how you go about using somebody else's work in your own without getting into trouble for doing it. You see it all over the place on the internet, right? So many YouTube videos like to use SpongeBob memes. There are review channels that are always showing clips from movies and upcoming TV series. You are always going to see that channel that somehow manages to go out and put every hit song on every one of their videos, and it doesn't seem to cause them any issues. How do these guys get away with this stuff? There's two things we need to discuss about that. For one, they are not always getting away with it. Sometimes it takes a couple of days in order for the content ID system to create that match and then go and report that to the copyright owner. When they do that, the copyright owner has all the time in the world in order to decide what they are going to do when somebody else is using their work. If you are the manager for Beyonce, it's not actually the manager, it's just the rights owner to their music. It's a whole convoluted. The music industry is weird. We'll just leave it at that. The person who is in charge of Beyonce's YouTube channel, well, she gets a lot of views. She also has a whole lot of people who are using her music in their videos. She is going to be inundated with thousands of copyright ID matches. The person running her YouTube channel has to go through and pick which ones they want to deal with. Sometimes the artist is hammer down, strike them all, delete all those videos. We don't want anybody else using our music in their work. And they have every right to do that. Legally, this is their work and they can do whatever they want. Sometimes the person running that YouTube channel is really stressed out and has a whole lot of work on their plate, and they will cherry pick the ones that they want to worry about. They'll look at the ones, hey, this guy got 3 views. Am I going to worry about that? Or am I going to worry about this other guy over here that just got 10 million views? I'm going to take care of that one. And then guy with 3 views over here thinks he got away with something, until he gets 10 million views. And then that one's gonna wave a big red flag, and the guy running that YouTube channel is like, oh, nope, we need to claim that guy. That can be 10 years later, it does not matter. Beyonce can claim that whenever she wants. So don't think that just because you saw somebody get away with something, that you can do the same. And don't think that that means they got away from it for long. The second they start making real money on that thing, tends to be the time when Beyonce comes up and says, yeah, that's costing me money. I want that taken down. It's also entirely possible that they literally, legally licensed those tracks to put into their YouTube videos. Now, I know small creators, you think, oh, no, they didn't go through all of the entire process to do that. He doesn't know how to do that. That's expensive and convoluted. It is, but it's also physically possible. I've personally done it. You can get the license to a song to put into your video. And yeah, it's painful, but if you want to make money, you got to know how to do it, right? It's not terribly difficult. Anyway, the other thing that you can do in order to use somebody else's content in your videos is to understand and utilize the fair use doctrine. Now, this is an important part of the conversation. It's one of the parts that offers the most protections for creators who are using other people's works. It's also one of the ones that creators have a bit of a difficult time understanding. It's a set of rules that allow you to use somebody else's work without being financially liable. You basically cannot be using somebody else's work expressly for your own profit, especially when it takes away from their profit of that same work. And you wonder why it's confusing and hard to understand. It's difficult to explain. You can't be using somebody else's work and taking money out of their pocket when you do it. You are absolutely allowed to talk about somebody else's work. You can let people know your opinion about somebody else's work, but that is based entirely on you and your conversation, and you are the meat and the potatoes of that video when you are using somebody else's work. If you were to take the entirety of their content out of your video and it doesn't work as a video, there is no context, there is zero understanding, and nobody would understand what you're talking about. If there is zero value in your video without their work, then there is zero value in your video with their work. There are zero specific time frame requirements regarding fair use. If somebody tells you you can put 2 seconds of their video in yours, you can use 30 seconds of their song, that is absolutely incorrect. There is no numerical value placed on what you are allowed to use for somebody else's work. What people are referring to and often get wrong is that the fair use doctrine, it says that you are allowed to use somebody else's work, but it has to be for a very general, a very generic, short amount of time. It doesn't give you like 30 seconds or 2 minutes. You can make an hour-long video and use 2 minutes of somebody else's work, and that is not going to be, your 1 hour video is not going to be dependent wholly on that 2 minute clip. Whereas if you make a 2.5 minute video and 2 minutes of that video is somebody else's work, well, then the majority of that video is theirs and belongs to them, and they have every right to claim it however they want to do, right? Because you have zero value in that 2.5 minute video. Now, let me just go ahead and hammer home this entire conversation about the fair use doctrine by saying it means absolutely nothing to you. YouTube is not a platform for you to go on and steal other people's videos. They have their own platform policies. It's called the YouTube Terms of Service Guidelines, or YouTube TOS. In the YouTube Terms of Service, they simply say you are not allowed to be stealing other people's videos. They use the Content ID system to report to a creator whenever their work is being used somewhere. They get to choose what they are going to do with your video whenever you use their work. Oh, but that's exactly what the fair use doctrine was intended for, is to protect me so that I can make work using their videos. Yeah, legally. YouTube is not a law firm. That is not a court of law. They are a business, and they are trying to protect themselves from copyright issues. So yes, if you're using a bunch of Marvel videos in your video and Marvel shuts you down, YouTube is not going to court for you. You are more than welcome to go to court. You can protect your video whenever they shut it down, whenever you get a copyright strike, or Marvel deletes your video because they don't feel like you are providing them any value using their work. You are allowed to go to court, and you can use the fair use doctrine to defend your video. Then you can go and appeal it with YouTube, turn over that whatever appeal thing that you got, and YouTube will put your video back. Probably going to take a few weeks to win that battle. Yeah, copyright stuff can be a real uphill battle, which is why it's important to follow fair use stuff. Now, just because YouTube is not venturing into the legalities of fair use, I will say that the majority of the time, companies do a pretty good job about letting people get away with using their content whenever you are actually following the fair use doctrine. So yes, it would be very valuable for you to be well-read and understanding of what is necessary to use the fair use doctrine. Because while it's not going to support you on YouTube, following those rules is going to prevent you from having a majority of those copyright issues. They're still going to happen. If you're using somebody else's work, it's going to happen. You would be doing the same to them if you were losing money, so it's fair. So what's our takeaway from all of this? If you are a small creator, it behooves you to try to follow YouTube's terms of service, try to follow the fair use doctrine to the best of your ability, because it is going to help you in the long term. Understand that even if you are not yet monetized on your channel, it is important to learn these things and to follow the terms of service and to understand fair use, because if you have any expectations of ever getting monetized, this is going to come into consideration when you finally hit your 1,000 subscribers and you finally get 4,000 watch hours. When you go to apply for the YouTube Partner Program, YouTube is going to take a look at your channel, and if they see that you have a whole bunch of videos that got copyright claimed, they are going to deny your request to get monetized, because they're basically looking at it like, dude, all of this stuff belongs to somebody else. They're getting their money because they've probably claimed your videos. Why would we need to split that revenue with you? What have you added to it? If it takes you 100, 200, or 500 videos in order to get monetized, when that happens, you can either start at that point and begin making videos that get monetized. You'll make about 2 cents per video per month, give or take. Or you can make 100, 200, or 500 videos And when you get monetized, now you have 100 or 200 or 500 videos which are getting views, and you are now walking into a paycheck when you join the YouTube Partner Program. The choice is yours, but I highly suggest that if money plays into this conversation at all, you really need to be up to date with fair use doctrine, with YouTube terms of service, and how to deal with copyright claims and stuff like that. Like I said, there will be some resources available for you in the description of this video down below, some channels that I follow, and some information as far as the terms of service and all that. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, if it was all helpful, and if you enjoyed some of this fresh air and coffee, please consider subscribing, because I would very much enjoy having you along for my own personal ride with this channel. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of enjoying just having a cup of coffee with you here. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Have a wonderful day and good luck.